manner. I have a half hour to go over a lot of information, but I'm going to try to make it fun and experiential. At the end of the presentation, you will be given a link to download this presentation and a free template that we're providing today. So one of the things that came up when I decided to name this webcast A Long Wow was one of my coworkers, Jim Booth, asked me if I needed rules for that or what that was. And that's going to be the first topic that we cover today. We're going to talk about what the long wow is, and then we're going to talk about why you would ever want to shoot for a long wow or try to get one. And then I'm going to go into how you can get to the long wow. At the end, again, I will provide a template for download so that you can use the tool, the free goodness, to get to your long wow. I do want to take a minute to talk about the awesome company I work for, Catapult Systems, and what I do for them. I am a user experience architect who is a passionate advocate for user-centered design. When the new Tron came out, there was a line in there that he said, "I fight for the user," and my husband looked at me in the movie, and we nerded out for about 5 minutes, and he said that that was me and went on during the movie and really upset the other patrons, but he got really excited because I am very passionate about user-centered design, and I do try as hard as I can at all moments in time to be an advocate for the user. Like I said, I work for Catapult. We build all types of systems for all kinds of companies. We do websites, internet, software programs. We use Microsoft technologies, and we're really good at it. I have the privilege of working with some amazing, brilliant people. So the first thing I'd like to ask is where you're at. Are you customer focused? There was a survey done by Bain & Company, and they asked 362 firms if they were customer focused. 95% said they were, and 80% said that they deliver a superior experience. So is there any guesses out there about how many on the Net Promoter Score, or when we measure those type of good, superior experiences, what percentage of these firms actually ranked in a superior way? It was only 8% of those same firms who thought that they were giving a superior experience. 8% of them were really doing it. And that's a really big perception delivery gap. There's two reasons for the gap. The first one is kind of a paradox. Most growth initiatives that companies launch to get more money increase profits, but they do things like raise transaction fees or add fees or try to grow their revenue in some way that alienates their customers. The second is that really good relationships with customers are hard to come by. It's extremely difficult to understand what your customers want, and it's extremely difficult after you find out what they want to maintain your promises. So who is this 8%? He's the 8%. And what does he do to bring people back for more? The 8% that they studied, they found out that they're rigorously focusing on treating their customers in ways that ensure they come back for more. And not only do those customers come back for more, they recommend the organization, product, or service to their friends. So these 8% of the companies design the right propositions for the right customers. They deliver those propositions at the lowest system cost, and they develop the capabilities to do it over and over and over again. So what is the long wow? Well, I'm going to start by defining what it's not. It's not easy. And it's not magic fairy dust or lipstick on a pig, as shown here. It's not complete either. It's part of a larger process that puts the user, customer, client at the center of the design process, user-centered design. So this is just a portion of an overall process that we're going to talk about today. So what is the long wow? If it's not lipstick on a pig and it's not easy and it's a small part of a process, it's the best way to close that delivery gap that we just talked about. It's also coming to everybody's attention that the lofty goal of customer satisfaction is probably a red herring, especially in today's business environment and economy. A satisfied customer isn't necessarily a long-term customer or a loyal customer. Today they may be satisfied with what you have to offer. Tomorrow they might be just as satisfied with somebody else's offering. It's a fickle economy. We're trying to get past loyalty into advocacy, where you're actually building customer advocates. It's also a way to earn word-of-mouth marketing. So the long wow is creating and repeating delightful experiences throughout the customer journey over a period of time. These deep customer insights and customer-centered design methods pave the pathway to wow moments. By diving deep into a customer's life and closely observing their behaviors, you can wow your customers by addressing needs that they'd never be able to articulate to you. And I'm going to follow a pattern. Everyone always uses Apple as an example when we're talking about this, and I'm no different in this way. We're trying to create experiences that delight, and you're building advocates who can't wait to tell other people about you. So the next part of what we're going to talk about is why would you even want to get this? It sounds like a little bit of effort. It sounds like a different approach. And in today's business environment, social economy, whatever you want to call it, experience is the product. And we've all seen the bell curve about a vocal negative as opposed to an evangelist on the other side. The change in this and what's really become a point of pondering and contention is those vocal negatives are extremely negative because they carry around their friends in their pockets. And people are sharing experiences through social networks all the time. They text and chat. They do all sorts of things to tell their friends and their friends' friends what they think of certain products and, more importantly, experiences. So it's more than exponential. And, of course, the product's up for grabs or the service or the company. But at this point in time, the experience is actually even more important. So I want to take a moment here and go over something that Starbucks is really good at. They are really good at finding out what they want to do, finding customers who want to do it with them, and building customer journey maps that reinforce those goals. We're going to get to customer journey maps at the end. I'm going to show you how to fill one out and what they're good for. This is the tool, the free template at the end of the process or the presentation today. But I want to go over this now because I want to talk about why you would ever want to do this. So Eric is a repeat customer at Starbucks, and he wants to work and drink coffee. And it's in that order. He wants to work and then drink coffee. This is good for Starbucks because if you're there all day working, you're going to drink more of their coffee, you're going to eat their lunches, you're going to buy their products. So in this customer journey map, these are bad, negative, upsetting experiences that he has, beneath the dotted line here, that he has when he's trying to work and drink a coffee. All of the bad experiences, I would say 90% of them below, are not about the coffee, the overly roasted coffee in my opinion, but they're all about the experience of trying to work in this environment. So Starbucks did this so that they could build an experience that they want because they end up achieving more sales. They build richer, deeper experiences with their customers. They build meaningful relationships that go way beyond loyalty into wow. So another reason you want to create these long wows is because the social economy combined with the experience economy creates a new currency, really, and that's called word-of-mouth marketing. And this is an unpaid form of promotion for your company, service, product. It's in an oral or written form. A lot of times now it's written, so it's on the records, it's on the annals forever. And it's where satisfied customers, advocates up on that bell curve from earlier, tell other people how much they like a business, product, or service. Word of mouth has been proven over and over and over again to be the most credible form of advertising because people will put it out there and they put their reputation on the line and they have nothing to personally gain by doing that. And this is, again, exponential. So when I like a product on Facebook, most recently it was Chrome. We were talking about Chrome, and I sent out there that Chrome is the second highest used browser now. It was a quick rise, and we were talking about it. I have 560 friends on Facebook who then in turn have anywhere from 3 to 1,000 friends apiece. So Chrome is getting all this browser window, this product is getting all this word-of-mouth advertising, marketing that they haven't paid for. They haven't done anything other than created a long wow with their customer set. They're repeatedly wowing me with how they provide their browser. So this isn't a process that you can manufacture. It's not anything that you can go out and say, I want word-of-mouth marketing, so I'm going to grow my Facebook page and try to get more fans. It's an organic process that the long wow really reinforces. And it's invaluable. It really is. If you can do this for your company, for your service, for your product, for your users, it just keeps going. It's like waves of goodness out into the universe for whatever you're trying to achieve. So now that we know what the long wow is and potentially why you'd ever want to do it, now I want to talk a little bit about how you do it. The first part of how you do this is you know your platforms for delivery. This is where you can recognize your whole palette of touch points that you can combine to deliver wow experiences over and over again. You're going to want to tackle a wide area of unmet customer needs. You're going to find an area of the customer experience that has long been overlooked, and it's teeming with potential for new insights. Then you want to create and evolve a repeatable process. You want to plan and stage these wow experiences. So when you're looking at your creating and evolving a repeatable process, you want to discover your organization's approach to how do they want to deliver these wow moments. And then look at all those touch points and then stage the wow experience to go back into those unmet needs, touch points over your repeatable process. after you've done this, and while you're doing this, there's a tool that you can use. It's a really kind of a cool tool. It's called the Customer Journey Map, and there's all kinds of formats of Customer Journey Maps. I ask you to go and Google Customer Journey Map, and you will find a lot of different kinds, templates, ways that people do this. A Customer Journey Map is a representation in a visual format of a customer experience throughout this customer user receiving your product or service. It forces you to focus on your customers rather than your organization. So as you're mapping their journey, you're walking a mile in their shoes. Along the way, you're looking for emotional highs and lows, those unmet needs, and the meaning that the experience holds for the customers. These are the key parts of finding those wow moments. There is a great book out called Designing for Growth, a design thinking toolkit for managers. And they talk a lot about how to really create the long wow. They don't use that term, but that's what it is. And they talk about how this process has grown over the last decade, really. So, like, if you think about it, a decade ago, we put a bunch of people in a room behind a mirror glass, and we watched them, we observed them. And they were in air conditioning, they were out of their environment, they weren't using the tool in the context that they usually do, or the product or the service. And you're likely to succumb to group thinking, and your memory is not really good when you're in this sterile environment. So today, we do it a little bit different. We go out and we use techniques where we're right with the customer. And say, for instance, if it's for Catapult and I'm designing a system, I sit with the customer and watch them use the system. I'm able to take in information that they would never be able to tell me because they don't even realize that they're doing it. So this journey map is a powerful tool that can shift your focus from what does my company want to what the company is trying to do and what the customer is trying to do and where they come together in that. It really engages problem-solving teams or development teams to form really strong empathetic connections with the customer user. So we don't look at them as just a data point or a demographic. We actually look at them as individuals with hopes and challenges and dreams, with goals that they want to get through this particular experience, having wow moments so that they come back for more. So 5 steps to creating a customer journey map, which is your way to the long wow. The first step is to collect internal insights. And all that means really is you sit down and you think about all the things that you know about your customer. And you start writing them down. And then you think about all the things you know about your customer and user in the experience that you're trying to track. So then you write those down. Then you spend some time investigating the context of all of this, and you write that down. You pull out your customer journey map outline, and you start filling out what you know. It's really informal. It's all about you taking guesses, and it's going to evolve over time. Step 2 is you develop an internal hypothesis of what that customer interaction looks like, that user interaction. Again, this is really informal. It's you doing the work, but it's got to be concrete at this point enough to test it with a real user. So in step 3, you go out and you get a real user. And you talk to them and you interview with them and you sit with them. For me, in system design, this is really easy to have access to these people. If at this point you don't have access to your user or potential customer, let's say, there's a lot of great resources online to find out what this customer interaction looks like at this point. Then you're going to analyze the customer research and capture your palette of touch points that we talked about earlier. And then you're going to find, through this analyzation of the customer journey map, how the customer interacts with your company now, which is your platform for delivery that we talked about earlier. What do they want from the experience that they're not currently getting? That's you're discovering their unmet needs. And you want to find something that your company does well, a process that you can tie to that unmet need, and then you're going to stage your wow. So let's take a look at a sample customer journey map that has been completed. And this is probably fairly small for you. Again, the presentation will be available to you so you can look at this a little deeper and closer. This is Sarah, and she's going to move, and she's looking for a new broadband provider. So during this potential interaction, she's got thoughts and feelings, she's got a whole emotional experience, and she's got different phases of her journey. This is your platform for delivery down here. And the platform for delivery in this specific case is the website and the telephone. So we go through and we talk about how Sarah is feeling during this journey, what her emotions are throughout the journey, and the emotion towards the vendor. And we highlight certain things that happen during her journey. So the first thing that she does, she goes online and she checks out different options that she has for this. At this point in time, she's aspirational, she's overwhelmed, she really isn't sure what things mean when she's reading them. So as most of us would do, she consults with an influencer. She talks to somebody who she thinks would know more about this. And at this point, her emotions change to excited and empowered because now she has some information. So she's going to use her buddy's advice and refine her search. As she does this, she finds a lot of providers that she can't afford, so she goes through this a couple times, she iterates through this, and then decides that it's decision time, and she gets anxious at this point. So she calls to order the service when she's in an anxious state. And from this point down, her emotions take a big valley. They just drop. Because from the purchase forward, her journey with the vendor is so bad that she just is frustrated. And this customer journey map in front of you has recommendations for how at different stages in this customer's journey to improve them, but it doesn't really go to the extra step of finding where not only could we improve Sarah's journey, but we could offer her a wow. We could really turn her from a quiet negative or a quiet positive into an advocate or an evangelist, where she's telling people through her social networks that this is my provider of choice. And then the next time someone has to go through this same experience, they go back to Sarah and ask her for her opinion. They go back to the interwebs to search and see what other people have said about the service provider. So I want to take a minute to talk about where we could have done better in providing a long wow. So there are 3 red dots that I added, and the first red dot is a potential wow. She doesn't want to go through this process alone. she wants to reach out to people. Because this vendor and this industry has not given her any other way, she reaches out to an influencer, which is a friend. Imagine if she was able to reach out to a vendor who made it really easy to do that. And there's all sorts of techniques to do that. You can provide an online chat if you feel that meets with your business goals. You can provide a Facebook page to go and ask questions directly. Zappos is an online delivery store like Amazon, and their whole Twitter experience is devoted to customer feedback and answering customer questions. If this vendor could make it easy for Sarah to find out more information and guide her through this process, that would be their first opportunity for a wow. The second red dot, she's feeling overwhelmed and anxious again. This is kind of a common pattern for her. It's a big decision, apparently, to get broadband service. She could, if the vendor knows that she's feeling anxious again, they could develop a whole process around those feelings of anxiousness and overwhelmness. And they could even create new touch points at this point in the customer journey with this potential customer or user where they're helping her again through the process and they're connecting with her right before she makes a purchase. So this last red dot is a red dot that all of us experience. It's a potential wow that I think every person I've ever worked with, whether they're cable or cable companies or any kind of installation of technology in my house, this is painful for all of us. I've never heard of anyone who has a great experience where they've made a purchase with a cable provider and then it's gone totally smoothly after that. So this is a really big unmet need and a potential for a wow. So she's frustrated, even though she's made a decision. She's kind of in too far now. Where's the service guy? When will my service be activated? Why can't they get this right? So at the moment of purchase, it would be really great if this vendor, if this broadband company could send an email or text to confirm the purchase with the time that the installer is coming out. On the phone, they should also ask Sarah if she wants to have an automated text or email, whichever she prefers, from the installer when he's 30 minutes away, so she doesn't sit around her house all day waiting for this guy who never shows up. They could also provide a direct line through whatever mechanism they feel is appropriate, Facebook, Twitter, their website, phone. If customer service on the phone is good for them and that's a repeatable process, then use that. Or she could have a direct line to someone who knows her case history. How awesome would that be if you could call Time Warner Cable and say, this is Daniela Matutis, and I'm waiting for such and such, and they actually knew what you were talking about. These are the things that go over time to build a long wow and a customer for life. So I believe we are right at the end of our half hour. I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone for the minute we have left as to not to take anybody's time and be respectful of your time. And again, this presentation is available at this link, and I know that you'll be receiving an email follow-up for joining us today, and you'll have access to that link as well. Questions?
The leader has unmuted your line.
Any questions?
I do have a question, and it's in regard to utilizing the journey map in relationship to designing future state process as well as future state systems.
Okay.
Where does this fit within the development cycle? Is this the analysis that's done up front prior to actually collecting detailed requirements and functional design?
So the most successful way that I've used it is that by the end of the project, I've probably generated anywhere from 3 to 5 customer journey maps, and the one that I start with helps to build that requirements document, and the one that I end with helps to provide user acceptance testing frameworks. So it changes over time, and you can start with an as-is customer journey map and then go to a what wows customer journey map. And that's sort of the evolution of it. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Good. Anyone else? Really, crickets? All right, then. I really appreciate you all coming today and participating, well, listening to me talk. I guess there wasn't a lot of participation today. We were on a short time frame. And please email us if you have any questions. Email me directly. And thanks again, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you.